Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Steve Hong. I'm a recording artist here in Los Angeles. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the K-pop audition tips Facebook page. And I thought I would come on here to just kind of tell you guys a little bit of my experiences as an artist and maybe share some tips and kind of some advice that I was able to gain from other artists, as well as through just trial and error as I was going out and recording music and performing, that I've kind of discovered along the way. And hopefully a lot of this stuff will resonate with you guys as aspiring artists yourselves, and you guys can get some value out of some of these tips that I'm about to share. And I know that being an artist itself, it takes a certain amount of courage to be able to pursue those dreams. And that's kind of one of the first things I wanted to talk about, that sometimes as an artist that's just starting out, you might wonder, or you might come across these times where you start asking yourself, are you as talented as you thought you were, or are you worried about maybe what people will think of your music? And sometimes, thoughts like that can get an artist kind of in their own head and really, and start kind of doubting themselves a little bit. And in case you guys ever experienced anything like that, I just want to let you guys know that that's completely normal. A lot of artists, in fact, I think most artists go through those ups and downs mentally at some point in their career. The key thing is for me, what really helps me is to remember why we got into music in the first place. And knowing the passion that we have for music, for creating songs, for performing for people, or just even writing lyrics and just creating something out of nothing. Just the love that I have for that and how passionate that makes me feel, that's why I got into music in the first place. I didn't get into music because I wanted to be famous. That's not something that I want to be. I didn't get into music because I want to be rich. I got into music strictly because I love making music and I love creating music. That's really something that you want to really ask yourself. Why are you getting into music in the first place? Because if you have a strong why, then overcoming all the obstacles that kind of come along with the music career, it becomes a lot easier to deal with, or it gives you more strength to deal with those obstacles because you have a good purpose. And your purpose is based out of passion. Hey guys, I'm sorry about this angle switch here. I don't have the best camera on me right now, but hope you guys can bear with me here. But yeah, as I was saying, the purpose of why we do music and what really drives you, I find that is one of the biggest motivators for me, especially if I feel like I hit a roadblock, or if I feel like I'm not good enough as an artist, or maybe even if other people have something to say that that doesn't really make me feel good, like if they don't think much of my music or something like that. Just know that whatever other people say, people always have opinions, right? Not everyone's gonna love your music, but not everyone's gonna hate your music either, as long as you put in the work. So always have that, I find that having that foundation of passion for what you do will really help you guys kind of be able to deal with anything when it comes to music. And that leads me into music itself. And I thought I would share some tips with you guys when it comes to actually creating music, particularly in the realm of songwriting. Sometimes that as writers, we can kind of feel stuck and we can't always think of the best lyrics. For me personally, I hit writer's block very often. And if you guys hit writer's block too, that's completely normal, right? In fact, writer's block can be a good thing, because sometimes those struggles of knowing what to write, you can actually build your skill as a writer because you can learn how to work around that. And the thing is, when it comes to songwriting, and if you guys are having trouble coming up with good lyrics, it's not about trying to avoid writer's block, but it's more so about just kind of persevering through it. If you're having a lot of trouble writing music, and writing lyrics, that's totally okay. You know, for me, if I can't think of anything for like hours, I sometimes just put down the pen and I just go out, take a walk. I take a break, you know, and that's really important too, is giving yourself a few breaks here and then if you can't think of any good lyrics. Don't be too hard on yourself, you know, just take a step back, relax, and then come back to it. But that's the key right there, is when you feel lost, when you feel like you can't keep writing good music, give yourself a break and then come back, but you got to keep on going, right? You got to kind of push yourself through those hard blocks that is kind of stopping you from writing those lyrics. So that's my tip when it comes to songwriting. Make sure you guys take care of yourself, give yourself a mental break if you have to, but you got to keep going. Songwriting to me, it's a lot like working out. You know, if you want to build muscle, you have to consistently go to the gym, right? You can't have like 5-6 cheat days per week. You're not going to see any progress. Songwriting is much like the same thing. You know, sometimes you might have a bad day at the gym, you might not work out, you might not have as much energy. Songwriting is exactly the same way. So yeah, basically I really encourage you guys to set aside some time on a daily basis, whether it's 30 minutes or 45 minutes or 1 hour, you know, or even longer than that if you want. Just dedicate it strictly to writing lyrics. It doesn't have to be good, right? If it is good, then that's great. But the key principle, the key point here is that you do the work. Write the lyrics, whether it's good or bad. And over time, you'll find that your songwriting skills just kind of naturally start to improve. You just got to put on those hours. And one resource that I want to recommend to you guys is a website called rhymezone.com. I'll have the description here somewhere. And it's a really good website for you to find rhymes for words, right? But it also shows you like near rhymes. So rhymes that are not exactly the rhyme to a word, but it's close to it. And also it shows you other things like synonyms. And sometimes these words can give you like new direction and new ideas on where you want to take your song. So that's a website that I personally use all the time, and I highly, highly recommend. And that's the key thing with songwriting. And that kind of leads me to the next point, which comes to singing. And it has to do with singing live and singing in the studio, or rapping live and rapping in the studio if you're a rapper. I find that they're quite different. They're similar, but they're pretty different at the same time. And when I'm in the studio recording music, I definitely don't sing the same way that I do when I'm performing music. And if you guys are ever in the studio, you're usually, unless you're an engineer yourself, you're working with an audio engineer, and you can do a lot of different takes, right? You can do as many takes as you want until you get the sound that you like, and then that's the sound that you put into your song. But with live singing, it's more about rehearsals, putting a lot of practice in behind the scenes, and then that way you can deliver your performance in one take rather than doing multiple takes. So the biggest difference for me when it comes to studio singing and live singing is how you sing to sound good in that environment. So what I mean by that is, if I'm singing in a studio, I don't necessarily have to sing with as much force and as much chest power as I do when I'm singing live. And the reason why is because sometimes if I sing with the same amount of force as I do when I'm live singing, it doesn't always translate well into the best sound when I'm in the studio. Rather, I can sing very softly because the microphone can pick up all the noise, and the audio engineer can adjust the volume of it. So if I want to sound soft in a song, and if I were to sing live in a soft voice, the audience or whoever's in the crowd, it might come across them as if it's not powerful enough or it doesn't have enough emotion. But in the studio, it can come off that way, because the best sound that comes through the mic will be a soft voice, but then the engineer can kind kind of do their thing with it and make the sound good to go. So keep that in mind, okay? Another thing to keep in mind when you're in the studio is your distance from the microphone. You know, it's very sensitive. The microphone, I mean, it can pick up noise, any kind of sound. So depending on when you're belting or when you're just singing more in your talking voice, gauge your distance and kind of sing accordingly when it comes to your volume. And lastly, everybody, just as a finishing note, know that having a career as a music artist, as a singer or a rapper, or if you're in a band maybe, know that it's a constant evolution. It's always going to be a process. There's no, at least for me, there's no like end goal, but music is just another form of self-expression. And as artists, we like to express ourselves through music, through lyrics, through singing, through melody, through harmony, things like this. And it's basically an avenue for creativity. So what I'm trying to say right now is that don't ever feel limited with your creativity. You guys can study any genre you want and gain inspiration. Even though me personally, I'm primarily based in hip hop and R&B genre, I actually listen to a ton of music that I don't perform. So for example, jazz music is something I'm a huge fan of, and all kinds of jazz, smooth jazz, swing jazz, all of that. And just listening to these melodies from different genres, it gives me inspiration, it gives me ideas. So as a final note, don't ever be like, too close-minded or narrow-minded when it comes to your music. There's inspiration sources everywhere. And you just got to keep an open eye, keep an open heart, and you'll have your moment of inspiration, and it's going to blossom into something that's really, really beautiful. So I hope this video really helps you guys out. I wish you guys the best of luck. And once again, my name is Steve Hong. You guys can find me on Instagram at official Steve Hong. And thank you to Kpop Audition Tips for having me as your first video. It's an honor. And I'll hopefully see you guys again soon in the future. See ya.